Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to learn about active voice and passive voice. Let us learn in a very easy steps how to change an active voice into passive voice. When you see here, you can see a sentence on the board. She writes a letter. This sentence, the first sentence, is in active voice. Then how to identify that this sentence is in active voice? To identify a verb which is in active or not, we have to question the verb. When the doer of the verb is the subject, then the verb in the sentence is said to be active voice. To know how to identify the subject, put a question to the verbs. She writes a letter. Who writes a letter? Then we get the answer, she. When you get the answer, the subject, then the verb in the sentence is said to be active voice. Then what is a passive voice? When something is turned to the subject, then the sentence is said to be in passive voice. A letter is written by her. This sentence is in passive voice. In passive voice, the object in the active voice becomes a subject and the subject in active voice becomes objects. Everybody says that what is active voice, what is passive voice? In passive voice, the object becomes subject and the subject becomes object. But what changes are taking place in the middle in passive voice? It is very easy to say that in passive voice, the active voice object becomes subject and subject becomes object. But what are the changes taking place in the middle near the verb? Let us learn in very easy steps how to change an active voice into passive voice. In step 1, let us see some steps to change a sentence which is in active voice to passive voice. Step 1 is are plus V3. Step 2 was were plus V3. Step 3 is or are plus being plus V3. Step 4 was were plus being plus V3. And step 5 has, have plus had plus been plus V3. These are the steps we have to follow when we change an active voice into passive voice. Where to use this is and are? Is and are used with the simple present. When you see the subject, when you see a sentence here, the sentence she writes a letter, the verb is in V1, V5 form. All V1, V5 form verbs comes under simple present. So this sentence is in simple present. When we are changing a sentence which is in simple present into passive voice, we need to follow step 1 is are plus V3. Here we can see that a letter object becomes subject. Is written. Here the sentence is, the verb is in simple present. Then we have to take is written. The verb must be in V3 form and the object is by her. If the subject in passive voice is singular, we have to use is. If the subject in passive voice is plural, we have to use are in simple present tense. If the sentence is in simple past, she wrote a letter. She wrote a letter. Then we have to follow the second rule, second step, that is was, were. Here a letter object becomes subject, a letter, and here the verb V2 is in past tense. It becomes was written. Why it is was? Because here the subject is singular. Then we take was written by her. Subject she becomes object. In the same way, if the sentence is in present continuous tense, she is writing a letter. She is writing a letter. If the sentence is in present continuous tense, then we have to follow the third step, that is a letter. A letter is. Then after we have to take being, being. A letter is being written by her. In the same way, if the sentence is in past continuous tense, then we have to follow the fourth step, that is was verb plus being plus V3. We can write if the sentence is in past continuous. Suppose if the sentence is in past continuous tense, for example, she was writing a letter. She was writing a letter. Then in the active passive voice, it becomes a letter was being written by her. If the sentence is in perfect tense, then we need to follow the fifth rule. That is has, have, had plus been plus V3. For example, if you see here, she has written a letter. This is in perfect tense, has written. Then we change this as a letter has been written by her. So these are the very easy steps. When the sentence is in perfect tense, then we have to follow the fifth point, that is has, had, have. For example, she has written a letter. It is in present perfect tense. Then we have to follow here the fifth one, that is a letter has been written by her. So in active and passive voice, the main first important thing we have to remember is only transitive verbs can change into passive voice. We have to remember that only transitive verbs can be changed into passive voice, not all the verbs. And the very important thing is in passive voice, the verb is always V3. We have to remember that in passive voice, the verb is always V3 and only transitive verbs can be changed into passive voice, not all the verbs. And here we have to be very perfect in tenses to change active voices into passive voice. We cannot change a present perfect continuous tense into passive voice. We cannot change past perfect continuous tense into passive voice. We cannot change future continuous into passive voice and also future perfect continuous tense into passive voice. Then what are transitive verbs? Let us learn in the next video. Thank you.